Okay, so if you know me, you know I'm a huge, big advocate of intermittent fasting. You simply eat within a certain block of time, usually a window of 8 hours or less. In the other big window, the block of time, that's about 16 hours or more, including when you're asleep. So it's easy to fast when you're asleep. You don't eat anything, not even snacks, so the snack goblin in you has to be put on a leash. Now, personally, cutting out sugars, cutting out the breads really helped transform my body and keep my waist trim consistently. So whilst fasted, you can drink water, coffee, green tea, nothing with milk, sugar, sweeteners, nothing with any calories. For example, if you like having a late dinner, you might skip breakfast and have your first meal at 12 noon and your last meal of the day at 8 p.m. and then not eat again until the next day, noon. So there's 16 hours right there. Simple, right? You probably do this already without realizing it. Now you can extend your fasted time or do an occasionally longer fast. For example, you may only eat between say noon and 6 p.m. and fast for 18 hours, or you could do a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. Intermittent fasting has been used for millennia without difficulty, and unlike diet, is not a short-term fad that the minute you stop, you put the weight back on again. Here are 8 lessons that I've learned from doing intermittent fasting for the past 2 years. So having done this over the past 2 years, I want to share how intermittent fasting has helped me transform my body in ways I never thought were possible, as opposed to someone who maybe just has read up on the topic, thinks they understand it, and wants to sound cool. Not me. Now, this is considered one of the top eating and fitness trends. Intermittent fasting sounds just like one of the most kind of deprivation-driven eating plans that leaves you wistfully glancing at other people's plates while you hunker down yet over another glass of water. That's because of the word fasting in there, right? But intermittent fasting is more about strategy than it is starvation. Like any big switchover though, results can vary when it comes down to individuals. So what works for you may not work for your friends and vice versa. That's why it's helpful to play around with variations on intermittent fasting and finding out what works best for you. So intermittent fasting does not involve specific foods, but rather a strict schedule regarding when you eat and when you don't eat, also called time-restricted eating. The tactic's been praised for its contributions towards things like weight loss, improved body compositions, decreased cravings, even athletic performance and endurance. Research also suggests the benefits towards glucose tolerance, better hormone regulations, better muscle mass, lower body fat, by actually increasing the level of natural human growth hormone and the suppression of insulin in a fasted state. So lesson number 1, the biggest barrier is in your own mind. Implementing this diet is pretty simple. You just don't eat when you wake up. Then you eat at lunch and then go about your day and have one in the evening. That's at least how I did it. Now, the mental barriers that you're going to have are, if I don't eat, will I be able to function? Will I be able to think? Will I feel faint? Will I feel sick? What will it be like? These are all the thoughts that went through my mind before I started, but what ended up happening was nada, nothing. Life went on. Thinking that you need to eat every 3 hours or 6 meals a day or every 3 hours, having breakfast, is what you've been convinced you need to do to survive. It's all mental. You believe it because you were told it, not because you actually tried anything different. So if there's one thing that I've noticed that separates successful people from unsuccessful ones in life, is just their ability to think and act differently. Number 2, losing weight is easy. When you eat less frequently, you tend to eat less overall. Now, as a result, most people who try intermittent fasting end up cutting weight, more body fat than they do muscle. You might plan big meals, but consistently eating them is difficult to practice. So for this reason, I think intermittent fasting is a great option for people who are looking to lose weight because it offers a simple way to cut down on the total number of calories that you eat without changing your diet. Even if you tell people that they can eat 2 meals, large meals, one at lunch, one at dinner, they typically end up eating fewer calories than they would if they had 3 or 4 meals. Now, most people lose weight whilst intermittent fasting because when they cut out meals, they don't make up for it with larger meal sizes. Number 3, building muscle is quite possible if that's what you want to do. In a fasted state, your body's natural production of human growth hormone increases. The longer you fast, the higher it increases too, which not only burns your fat, but more importantly keeps the muscles looking nice and lean. I've managed to gain weight whilst doing intermittent fasting. I've added 12 pounds of lean muscle mass and I've cut 5 pounds of fat over the past couple of months. Now, that's because I've focused on eating in my feeding window. As I mentioned above, the natural tendency is to lose weight on intermittent fasting because it's easy to eat less when you cut a meal out of your day. However, at the end of the day, eating 2,000 calories is eating 2,000 calories, whether it comes in a duration of a 16-hour eating window or an 8-hour eating window. It just takes more effort to eat it in 8 hours, that's all. Now, it's totally reasonable to build muscle as long as you eat enough. So number 4, my best workout is usually done when I'm deep into my fasted state. So my most productive hours are the first 3 hours of my morning, which is already 12 to 15 hours into my daily fast, as I've slept most of it. That's the exact opposite of what I expected when I started out. I assumed that if I didn't eat for hours, then I wouldn't have the energy to train, to think, to do things. The reality is quite the bloody opposite. I've got a lot more mental clarity in the morning when I fast. I can't say for certain if it's directly down to the fact that I feel fresh when I'm awake, but one thing is clear. Fasting is not hindering my ability to get things done that I want to get done, to train as hard as I want to train. In fact, I'm almost most productive in the mornings when I'm fasted as opposed to when I'm fed. Number 5, like most things, think about the long-term view. Too often we think about diets in a super short-term frame. It's better to think about what we eat over the course of a week than over the course of a day, or even worse, a few hours. Now, for example, whether or not you have protein shake within 30 minutes of working out is largely a non-issue if you're getting quality protein within 24 hours of working out. Now, one reason intermittent fasting works is because the super short time frames that were pitched by food companies and supplement companies are largely a big fat myth. Let's say you eat 3 quality meals per day. That's 21 meals per week. Over the course of a week, do you think your body cares if the meals are eaten from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the normal eating window schedule, or 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., an intermittent fasting window? Now, how about if you stretch it over the course of a month? Wouldn't it make sense if you ate 80 quality meals per month, 3 a day, and your body would make the most of those meals, whether you eat them in an 8-hour block or a 12-hour block? When you take a slightly longer view, you basically start to realize that the time difference between eating from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. versus eating from, say, for example, 12 or even 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. isn't that large over the course of a week or even a month. Number 6, it's strange, but when I'm fasting, I actually want less food. Now that I've started fasting, I want less food. I'm not addicted to it, I'm not a victim to my diet. I eat when I want because I want to, not because it's a schedule that I have to stick to or my body tells me I have to. It's a marked change in my previous eating schedule, and I think the additional power and the flexibility over my diet now is a huge, huge benefit. So, number 7, prepare to drink a lot of water. I drank a reasonable amount of water before I started intermittent fasting, but now I drink an incredible amount, especially in the morning. I'm usually over 8 glasses in the morning before lunch. Now, your mileage may vary, but even if you don't drink as much as I do recommend having it at the ready, as it's basically in a fasted state. It's a great way to wash out all the toxins from your body. Number 8, the best diet for you is the one that works for you. Everyone wants to be handed an ultimate diet plan. We want the answers on a sheet of paper. Here, just do this and you'll be set. This is why diet books sell so well. A lot of people are actually willing to pay for a quick fix, a diet in a box, nutritional solutions to long life. Here's my problem with marketers telling everyone that their diet is the best. It's like telling the whole world to wear medium-sized shirts and then wondering why they don't fit a lot of people. Now, in most cases, your body is the same as everyone else's, but in some very important ways, it's also different than everyone else's. So to find the diet that works best for you, you need to experiment to see what your body responds to. This is why I enjoy intermittent fasting. You can play around with your eating schedule so easily. Choose one that fits your lifestyle and that your body responds to. Once you figure out when you should be eating, then you can move on to the harder part of what you should be eating. As always, your mileage will vary, but the most important thing is that you're covering ground and moving